let's talk about Sharife Cooper. This kid is averaging 22 points and 9 assists a game.
Wow.
He is like putting up numbers and having performances that put people like it gets him in the same conversation as like a Trae Young and a John Morant when it comes to the raw numbers that he's putting up.
Yeah.
I don't think that he is anywhere near that same conversation when it comes to the level of prospect that he is, right? Because I think at his size, if you don't have, he's a great passer. Like he could probably walk in the NBA right now and be like one of the top 15 passers in the NBA. But John Morant, you can say the same thing about him. He's a freak athlete, right? Trae Young, you can say the same thing about him. He can shoot it out to like 40 feet, no problem, no questions asked. So without having that other elite skill, I just kind of wonder like where does Sharife kind of fit in and how does he work on an NBA roster? And so what are your thoughts? What do you think of him?
When I see him, he's not an elite athlete when it comes to like jumping like a John Morant, but his athleticism as far as like quickness and speed, change of direction, that's NBA elite. Because of that, I mean, he is an elite athlete to me. Elite athlete doesn't always have to be just jumping out of the gym. His speed causes issues. Who are they playing? I think they're playing Alabama. And it was just hard for them to like stay in front of him knowing he can't shoot. Like they were giving him space. And that's obviously like, that's one of the things even if you're not a great shooter, anybody's looking for space, especially guys that can't shoot. Cause I mean, you're going to give me a space. I'm just going to go downhill and then I can do what I please. So his athleticism is elite, great passer. Obviously shooting needs tremendous work, but I mean, that doesn't really deter any NBA teams. There's plenty of guys like going not as non-shooters, and that doesn't really hold them up. So I can't see a difference with him. I mean, when I see like Lonzo is like a show, like I think Alonzo Ball and his passing skills, and obviously being 6'7", 6'8" helps. But I look at his passing skills, and it's just like more showman. Where as opposed to this guy is like he can see and get the pass there on the dime to the point where it's. I mean, his 8 assists, 9 assists a game, like he's basically just like handing guys layups from 3-point line, handing guys layups and alley-oop dunks, and he's creating double teams that like people are coming to him, and he's creating a double team so he can find people. And I feel like in the NBA, like that's if you get somebody to double you or have somebody step up, and you can get your teammates open and get these professionals who are great to score. I mean, that's all you really want. I mean, and I feel like he does that. In a smaller setting, a bigger court, make it very difficult for him. I feel like
I mean the spacing in the NBA is going to be unbelievable to watch him play. And real quick, I want to give a shout out to Jack Greeley because he says he's a Michigan fan, and he finds it hard to watch Michigan State, but he still watches them because
he's watching them out of spite. He's watching them out of spite. I'm telling you,
Michigan State fans are assholes, so he wants to be able to talk his shit. I love that. That's a rivalry. Yeah, it's fine.
Man is out here watching out of spite, bro. That is. Shout out to Jack.
Shout out to Jack, really, man. That's awesome. No, you're absolutely right in that, like the space in an NBA game and the way that the floor is going to be spread, like it's going to be so much fun to watch him at that level. But the thing that will separate him from just being a good passer to being someone that the way that I think about it is like this. Like I absolutely think he's an NBA player, right? I'm not saying that, but John Morant was the number 2 pick in a draft where people were like, well, should we take him over Zion? And that conversation actually happened, right? Then Trae Young was like traded for Luka Doncic, basically, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And like that should tell you all you need to know about the way that Trae Young was viewed as a prospect. So when you look at those two compared to the way that people are looking at Sharife Cooper, I don't think that he's on that level. Like I think that both like John and Trae are going to end up being like top 10 point guards in the NBA for the next decade, probably, right?
Possibly.
I think Sharife, barring another elite skill, is going to he's going to be good, but like he might just be like a second unit guy. He might be like a starter on maybe a lesser team because like the combination of not really being a defender with not really being a shooter, it just kind of limits what you can be and what you can provide and how you impact winning. And I know I'm saying all of that while like when he was the Missouri game was a perfect encapsulation of like what he provides to Auburn, because when he was out there, they were up by like 15 in the first half. Then he picked up 3 fouls, and like he sat out the end of the first half, and he comes back in like with 4 minutes into the second half, and like they're down by 8. So it was like a 23-point difference when he came out with foul trouble, which was just ridiculous, and that should tell you all you need to know about Auburn
and his impact on their team.
And it's crazy, man. Like Auburn self-imposed a postseason ban for this year. They might be like the 3rd best team in the SEC. Like they legitimately are a team where it's like, okay, if they got in the tournament with Sharife Cooper, I would be like, okay, that's a team that's a threat to make the Final Four. And I'm not like, I don't think that's an exaggeration.
No. Because when you have a player that good on a team, and I'm not going to say he's unguardable, but he causes mismatch problems.
Kind of is like
it's like almost you can't really stand
when you surround him with shooters, with how good he is in ball screens, he puts so much pressure on a defense, because you can't, with a lot of guards at the college level, like you can feel comfortable doubling him or hedging hard or sending 2 guys with him, because you can have the weak side corner tag the roller, because for the most part, you don't really have to worry about that many 5s being able to pick and pop in college, right? Yeah. Some of them you do, but most of them, like if you're going to settle with a center shooting a 17-footer, you're probably okay with that. For the most part, right? So you can tag up the weak side of the floor and make sure that for people that don't, tagging the roller means you have somebody over there helping on the roller to make sure that guy doesn't get a wide open dunk at the rim, right?
Yeah.
So you have someone tagging a roller, and you can leave the weak side corner open, because there's probably like, I don't know, like maybe like 20 or 30 guards in the NBA that when they're double team can off a live dribble with one hand, whip a pass to the opposite corner. Sharife Cooper can do it right-handed and left-handed.
Yeah, he's talented.
It's ridiculous what he can do. So like he comes off those screens, you can't send 2 to him because he's going to find the open guy. You can't leave him by himself, because once he gets like his man on his hip, then you're fucking done, because he's just going to be able to get to the rim and either finish himself or dump it off to someone for a dunk. Like it's just, he is so good in ball screens. I just worry about, I guess this is the way that I phrase it. I know how you can use him in ball screens in the NBA, right? And I think that would work. I don't know how he does all of the other stuff that you have to do to be a point guard in the NBA. Does that make sense?
I get it, but I'm curious, like what are some of those things that you're referring to as far as like in the NBA? Because I feel like him in the ball screen,
his defense.
That's my question about it.
It might, and look, to be fair, it might be the kind of a thing where it's like he knows what he's going to have to do to carry this team offensively, and he's been kind of told by Bruce to be like, look, just, you know, if you don't risk a foul, like don't really work your, like don't
the Anthony Edwards
that kind of thing. So like it might be that. I don't think so. Like the difference between Anthony Edwards and Sharife Cooper is like Anthony Edwards has every physical tool that you could possibly want out of an off guard. Like long arms, strong, athletic as hell. Right? For him, it was just like an effort thing. Like with Sharife, like Sharife's listed at 6'1", but I think like if you cut his hair, like if you gave him a fade, like he'd be like 5'10". Right?
I saw Isaiah Thomas size when I first saw him. Like, and I was looking at the television, I was like, yeah, he's really small.
Yeah, so like I'm worried about that. The jump shot, like he's got to fix that. Like he's got this weird like lean back thing.
Yeah,
it's like what. It's a shot where you got a guy that doesn't have a great vertical, that is used to playing against players that are taller than him. So he's leaning back so he can try to get a little extra space. And like he's got to fix that. Like the whole thing with the jumper, like he's got the touch. He's shooting 84% from the free throw line. Like he's got the floater package, the layup pack. Like, you know, he can make shots, but you gotta fix that 3. So it's the defense and it's the 3-point shooting that I'm like, well, okay, I got to see more before I completely. Yeah. But like, I mean, if you get him, I would probably take him somewhere like near the back end of the lottery, but like to like early 20s is where I'd put a range for him.
Who needs a point guard immediately? Like, who needs a point guard immediately? Because I feel at this point, like if your team is in dire need of a point guard and you're just not happy with the production your team's getting, like it's no reason that they don't. I don't really see. I mean, if I compare him, like we're talking like Io DeSumo, Dimitri Trice, Jared, but like these guys are good. But I don't know, like they don't have the vision he has. Like they're good in their own right. Like they all can do things infinitely better than he can. Shooting is one of them, and defending is another one of those things as well. But
yeah, for sure.
The way he does his as far as passing, being a point guard, just like running and leading the team and running work, that some of these older guys could learn a thing or two from him.
Yeah, he's so smart, man. Like his basketball IQ is off the charts. Exactly. And I guess like he played I think it was high school basketball with Isaac Okoro, which is like hey, look, I know they got good high school hoops in the state of Georgia, but I got a feeling that a high school team that had Sharife Cooper and Isaac Okoro on it they probably won a lot of games.
They just a winner, just a smidge more than the
probably won a lot of games, man. So yeah, like I said, I love him as a point guard. I think he's a great college point guard. I just have some questions about what his ceiling is as a pro, and I don't. He's going to get compared to Trae Young, and he's going to get compared to Ja Morant, and he's going to get compared.
I feel like that's a waste because
of the numbers he's putting up, and I think that's a little bit unfair to the kid to put that level of expectation on him when there's like some very clear things that I think he needs to work on. But like again, he's gonna play a decade in the NBA. I just think it's going to be as more of probably a second unit point guard, if that makes sense.
And that's not bad.